What's up, guys? It's Caliber here.
And the Beast.
And I'm Pearl.
And what are we coming to talk about today, Beast?
We're going to talk about possessed statues.
I'm
If
gonna go
I
ahead and let
fact at
Beast
this
go
point.
first.
Okay, well, this is kind of going to go fall into a story that happened to Caliber over here. Kind of, but what I'm going to go into is a kind of like a back history here. It's like statues have always held a certain representation of things, gods, deities, demons, anything like that, protection um, throughout history. So there's always been some strong connotation to the spiritual, and obviously it is a physical representation of either a abstract feeling or art, which embodies some form that they're trying to get across in the first place. Um, that being said, when you put that much connotation to something, I think sometimes it kind of grabs a hold. Um, I mean, during like the uh, Gothic era or medieval era of European history. You have what people commonly call gargoyles, but they're not really gargoyles. They're called grotesques, is what they were referred to back then. Gargoyles were actually like water drainage systems that they made into decorative animals. The ones that actually are freestanding, which most people call gargoyles too, they're actually called grotesques, which were representations of um, references to what was found in the that a which was more or less in a book that was considered to be called the Book of Demons. It kind of was a kind of basically a catalog and documentation of like different types of demons and what they did and what they looked like and such and such. So this being from the four like one of the more early some of the more earlier times. I mean, this is only going back to the medieval times, but before that, there was also representations of gods and everything like that and deities. Um, even in um, native things, I mean, like there was like the totem pole, which actually was a had a lot of like guardian spirits. Definitely had a lot of connotations towards that as well. So I mean, like in every culture, there's been some kind of spiritual intent or some kind of like otherworldly representation in statues. That being said, if you go online, you can even see today that there's been a numerous plethora of sightings in which that either a statues are caught moving on camera, they are visually looking at you, or they're bleeding in some instances. There's been
Yeah.
like Virgin Mary was bleeding from the eyes. Um, Jesus statues is moving their eyes, and that's just going on the religion. That's going on in Christianity, the Judeo-Christian uh, situation. But there's been other ones as well, graveyards. You hear about like different other things kind of going awry. Um, so basically, basically I want to say that a statue kind of is a totem. I guess that's or a talisman. I guess is the best way, a representation of like a portway. I don't know if the statues actually are living entities themselves. I think that they're just being used from the other side by another worldly thing or another dimensional plane being, basically,
Well, I
is what
mean,
I'm getting at.
realistically, how does something that isn't alive maintain life? It's more or less just like a puppet.
Right, right, exactly. I would say definitely a puppet. Yeah. Why don't you cut Caliber and tell them about your experience? Kind of tie in that like there is like
Yeah, well,
some experience to this.
Well, all right. So where I live, there's a bunch of churches, but this one particular church is actually tied on to a Catholic school, private school. Private school, irrelevant, but there's a oh, what is it called? A mausoleum that has two statues. One statue is of Mary, and the other one I can't really put my finger on what it's from, but it's I guess an Iron Maiden type thing, or a female with the sword.
Okay.
So, but the Mary statue has actually been known to cry. Now, I'm a skeptic when it comes to most things. They will tell you that. I didn't believe it at first, and I told my mom because I wanted to go back out there. I've been there one time before, and well, I was proven wrong, and here's why. First off, if you look, like I tried getting a picture of it, and this is where shit gets really weird. So we'll get to that here in a second. But if you look at the statue's eyes, you know how most statue eyes they're kind of painted on. These look like almost real eyes, deep blue eyes. So that's one weird thing. Why does this statue have these eyes and the other one's eyes are painted on? Why is that? Makes no sense, right? Well, the reason for this being is because, well, it's a weeping statue. Statues will tend to weep from time to time. But where shit gets weird is when I went to take a picture of it, its face got contorted. Kind of had like a shit-eating grin. If that's what you would call it, right, Beast? It was kind of smirky.
Oh yeah, yeah. A little
and then as you, because I have an iPhone, so it obviously live photos. So as you, like once it starts to get dark, you can see a face of a demon appear. So I don't know why the demon was actually there. Yes, I'm not 100% atheist. We're going to put this out here. I'm agnostic. I do believe in demons and angels and all that. I just don't believe in God. Or if I do, I don't acknowledge it. So, but besides the point, why the demon was there, I don't know. Could have been for a number of reasons. It could have been because I personally follow Satanism, more or less. But another reason could have been is because my mom was baptized. And the devil's pissed off. We don't know.
Yeah.
But or it just continuously uses that puppet.
I'm not... Well, yeah, it could be used as a puppet. So there's that. I'm not scared of a lot of things. But when it comes to supernatural, the shit scares the hell out of me. I think it scares the hell out of all of us. Well, maybe not her.
I get scared to a degree. See, mine has always been this with the supernatural. This is a little, not really a backstory, but kind of more of like a understanding, I guess, is the best way I could put it. I am obviously, I have jitters about the supernatural, basically. I mean, I think everybody, like you said, does. But there's sort of an excitement to it as well. And I think really it's more of if I can find something, if I find something more concrete as a proof-wise, I guess is the best way in my head. It's like that becomes more real to me. You know what I mean? Because a lot of instances, it's like, and it's just a human condition. You try to explain everything in your head. You try to work out every little detail. So when you see something, you pretty much at the beginning when you see it, to the time that you calm down about it, you're always in your mind trying to talk yourself out of what you saw.
You're trying to find if you can't do that, then you try to figure out what the hell was that.
Exactly, and then and then it becomes more of a, I want to say logical conversation with yourself to be like, now this is what I saw. Now what did it? Or if I did see this, what does it mean? And then it becomes a whole long line of things, and eventually it just becomes in the foreshadow, and it becomes nothing anyway. Even if it is something that's more predominant. So I mean, that's just something I think humans do generally. It's just a human trait. I mean, you could literally put proof in a video, and I'm guilty of this too. Off the bat, even if I see something that I think looks legitimate, I am literally looking at the video and be like, "That is fake as shit."
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's unbelievable. Once it becomes unbelievable in my mind, that it's like, "Oh, I've never seen anything like that."
And then you try
You're
and find more stuff.
exactly. You try to find more stuff like that, but then you're like, "Oh, this is all fake." It's just that's what
It's
you
a
tell yourself
never-ending
because
battle
that's
with
what
yourself.
it is, and I think that's where it's like, if you have the experience yourself, I think it's more you can always if people are more seeing as believing. I mean, that's just anybody. I mean, yeah, you could have a faith about something, and that that's more that kind of goes more about religious basis. I mean, like to be honest, I mean, some people don't even have that in that respect. I mean, some people are just like plain black and white. I have to see it to believe it type of deal, which is it's not a problem. Again, that's just some people do it differently than others. Um, what I think the issue would become is that well, let me take it back a bit. There's a saying that I used to like a lot, and I don't remember exactly where I got it from, but I've always kind of reverted back to it. A person is smart, but people are dumb. And what that means is I can have a one-on-one conversation with somebody, anybody, and they would understand, and we would have an understanding with each other. But you try to bring this up to a mass group of people, like you put it on the internet, you show a big group of people about proof of something or anything, and it's blowed off automatically. It's like you have like, oh well, that's not real because everybody just it becomes a unified, you know.
Well, it's talking to a shepherd versus talking to the sheep.
Exactly.
I actually think so. It's not just statues that are like this, though. There are
Right.
benches, these wooden, or not wooden, they're stone chairs esque things in graveyards, and they're what are they actually called? They're called like, I have the word in my head, but they're usually placed in front of graves so you can sit there. Um, One of the most famous ones is the Devil's Chair in Florida, and apparently, if you sit there in midnight, it's actually illegal to enter this graveyard at nighttime. Apparently, if you sit there at midnight, there's a couple of these benches there, so it's hard to find the specific one. I know it faces a specific
Grave.
yeah, there's one that faces a specific grave where you can hear apparently the devil or the person who's buried there whispering in your ear.
Right.
Supposedly, yeah, apparently I know I've heard a couple things. There's a couple different ones. There's one where you can hear the person who's in the grave. You can hear about his kids and about his wife. And then there's another one that it's actually like the literal devil chair. And once you're stuck to this chair, like you physically can't move, and people have lost lots of time sitting in this chair. So apparently, again, you're not even supposed to be there, so it's kind of a hit and miss what's actually legit on that one.
Well, I mean, if we go into here's a personal experience for me, and this has something to do with it's a bridge situation. So I mean, like, again, this is another object that was filled with some kind of malice at one point in time. There was a bad situation that happened. Again, folklore and what actually happened at the bridge is kind of unknown because obviously throughout time, telephone, the whole jazz. What I can gather, one of the stories would be, this is called the Blue Flame Ghost, and This is something that happens more. I'm from in Ohio, and it's out in think the town that it's in, and I can't remember the town because it's one of those small towns, and I just know it's off of a road called Savage Road. But
A lot of stories about that place.
right, and what it's over there near. I think it's called Sugar Creek or Sugar Grove, one of the two. I can't remember. It's a little small, little dinky thing. I mean, you blink and you're out of it pretty much. Um, Majority of it's like wooded areas, and you're getting close to the Wayne National Forest at that point. I mean, like you're getting close to that area, and then down in the forest and the Hocking Hills, basically. So we the night started off as pretty much like we wanted to go looking for stuff. So I mean, that kind of we got to put that in context. I mean, we were kind of looking for something, and we went to a couple different places. One of them was we heard about the Horseshoe Grave, and it's pretty much a grave, and it's got like some iron rods, basically like a cage, basically around this gravestone. And on the gravestone itself is what there's a rusted horseshoe print, like you would put like a horseshoe sat there for a long period of time, and like obviously the rust stain's still there. That's what it looks like. And supposedly that you'll hear like horse trotting behind you, and um, some dog and all that stuff. And this and a lot of it we debunked and all that stuff on the way out, because like I think the dog that we found out, it was like a beagle that was like next door, and the blue light that was, or the light that was illuminating from the graveyard, it was a garage light that happened to be in the area. So I mean, it was a lot of them were like hit and miss. I mean, yeah, people might have been freaked out or whatever. But this right here, the one that I'm saying here, is this one's definitely something I can't explain, and it's just so bizarre. So we went to this Blue Flame ghost one we found out, and it's on this cover. It used to be a covered bridge. The bridge has been removed and was replaced with a modern bridge, but obviously the way is still there. Um, so we go there, and the story behind it is apparently there was something that happened with either like a young woman. She was in a blind rage. But the story I think was either there was a couple stories. One was where she was still stood up at the altar, and then the guy came and she killed him there and dragged his body up the hill or whatever, and that's where the police found her or whatever. The law at the time. And then the other story was that pretty much basically the same premise. Besides, he was an abusive husband, and she just couldn't take it anymore and killed him on the bridge. Regardless of which, a woman killed a man on the bridge, and it was her husband of some sort or lover. And her name was like Elise or something in that manner. Yeah, it was Elise. And the whole thing is, it's one of those crybaby bridges. You go on the bridge, you turn the car off, and you basically call out her name, which was Elise, and then a blue light will travel down the hill, is what we were told. So, okay. So we go on the bridge. We had two people with us, I think, at the time, and yeah, it was me, my friend, and two other people, and we were in a we were in a little Ford Ranger, so I mean, like it was a little jam packed. We had like the bench seat, so we had like three in the bench seat, and the one that was because it was an extended cab, was one of the freaking like little fold out seats. And so we turned the car off, turned the lights off, and we started calling out this Elise name. Well, there was a very faint blue light that did start coming down the hill at this point in time. So we're freaking out, right? Well, obviously he's got a standard truck at this point, so I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not, but he's having a hard time starting the vehicle. I'm assuming it's because it's a standard and he's fidgeting. But again, it could be because something's making him not be able to start the car. Who knows? So the light. You can't really see anything besides that it's a light. It's like a literally focused light coming down this hill. It gets really close, approximately probably about maybe about 50 yards off. About that close. Car starts up. We're out of there. And so we go down that road. We don't know where we're going on that road, so we had to actually turn around and go back across the bridge. So we hauled fast past that bridge. He starts acting really weird, saying that he's a couple of times he said he's seen her in the back of the bed of the truck, like through the rearview mirror. So he kind of swerved a couple of times. Yeah. And then he keeps on saying that he hears her calling to him, saying that she wants him there with him or her. And see, I'm not hearing any of this, mind you. So this is something that's out of my actual perception. So I'm not hearing any of this. But he's surely acting like it. And I've known him for a long time. So I mean, like, there is something definitely different about the situation. So we're driving down this road, mind you. Somehow, not making any turns, we're headed back the same way again. Like back towards the bridge.
Oh, that shit freaks me out.
So I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Turn back around. So we literally turn back around. Because we've seen the bridge in the freaking horizon, like right in front of us again. There's like no way. So we turn around, go straight, literally straight down the road. Because that road that we're on literally goes back onto the main 33, which is the main highway. Literally you get off the highway, go down that road, and then the first road you turn to, that's Savage Road, right? Well, so we're back on that road again, going towards 33, following the signs. Somehow we're back at Savage Road again. Which happens 3 times. Until finally, I was like, enough is enough. And then I said, God dang it. And this is literally what I said. It's like, damn it, Elise, you can't have him right now. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Finally made it to the highway.
That shit. Okay, I was gonna talk about the chair because I found more shit about the chair. But the fucking when you just keep walking like straight and you can't you keep ending up at the same fucking place freaks me out. So there are a few where I used to live. There are a few abandoned mental institutions. They're considered historic buildings. Of course we would go in them. Of course. I'm the kind of person that when I was younger was checking out an abandoned building and one of my friends died. Not the point. We're not talking about that. I don't want to talk about that. But so this was roughly, I don't know, this was 2.5 years ago. Yeah, 2.5 years ago. So me and my friends at the time were going through the whatever, looking at stuff, It's weird that they always leave it so, I don't know, complete. But they don't touch them very much. So there's a couple gurneys and there's still some curtains up and stuff like that and some like solitary-ish stuff. It's all very big, but it's like a couple treatment rooms. You can tell there's like, I don't want to call them cells, but there's rooms that kept a couple patients, and then there's rooms that kept solitary patients. Okay. So, I don't know. We were kind of just bored. We were done with it. So we went to go leave. So we went to go down the stairs, and it's down the stairs, and then you turn left, and there's the front door, which is how we got in. We fiddled it open. Getting over the fence was the hard thing, not fiddling open the door. Went down the stairs, turned left, top of the landing. That's what gets me. You know what? Throw books. I don't care. Throw books, turn statues inside out. I know I walked down those stairs. I know I turned left. Top of the landing. How? How? It's a 2-story building. It's not very big.
Right.
We're like, okay, so we go down the stairs, we turn left. Top of the landing. We're like, okay, I'm done with this. So we go down the stairs, and we turn right. We're in the basement. I didn't know there was a basement. We didn't explore very long. We just kind of screamed, and we ran out what apparently was the back door. And just kind of out. What the fuck? That freaks me out more than anything. Show me a dead body. That's fine. But when I know I walked down a flight of stairs and I turned left and all of a sudden at the top of those stairs, I have a problem.
Oh, I totally understand. I mean, that was how I felt with that whole situation there. It was just like we know. Yes.
So I found the actual, like, not an urban legend, I found the story. And I'm just going to read right off of it. So in 1926, a 90-year-old man lost his wife and unmarried daughter in a fire accident. He was devastated, and when he built the memorial, he also built this chair so he could sit and mourn. In fact, chairs like these are found all over the Western world. They're called mourning chairs. Now, unlike others who gradually move on, the old man would come in and basically sit there from dawn to dusk. The reason why he had the names carved on the inside, because that's what's unique about this chair. There's 2 graves. Names are carved facing the chair instead of outwards.
Okay.
The reason he had the names carved on the inside was so he could look at them while sitting in the chair. There's also a thing that apparently if you leave an unopened beer on the tombstone, in the morning it'll be empty.
Oh.
And still unopened. Locals say he had no relatives and lived alone in a big house, so he was basically holding on to his dead family. As months went by, people started rumors about the poor old man, so people would even mock him. After about a year on Halloween night, 2 teenagers spotted the old man sitting in his chair and crying. This happened at around 11 o'clock at night. And remember, Halloween tradition was just starting in the United States at that time. These teenagers thought the old man had lost it, so they contacted the police, but were surprised to learn that he had passed away a few days before. So, it's unclear if the teenagers saw the spirit of the old man or the devil. Regardless, apparently when you sit in that chair, you get stuck to it, like you feel a weight on you, and you hear a voice in your ear.
Where is this located at?
Actually, I think I've heard this story before, I think.
Probably. It's a Florida story.
Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, remind me to stay away from that area if I ever go to Florida.
You know, another one that I could never explain, and if anybody else can explain this, would be absolutely fantastical. There was and I do say was because the actual place has now been demolished. I mean, it was at one point considered a historical area or site. It was called Mudhouse Mansion, and the road to get to it was on Mudhouse Road. So, I mean, I don't know if the road was named after the mansion itself, or if vice versa. So I don't really know that whole chestnut really. It's in Lancaster. That's where I'm actually used to be from. So I mean, it's like south of Columbus, and it's out there in the farmlands. Basically, it's pretty much where it's at.
NBFE.
Yeah, pretty much. Now there's a lot of times there's and there's a couple of different situations we've had there, but obviously a lot of them has to do with, like, there used to be a groundskeeper. There was always about people having parties out there. It was a lot of teenagers had parties out there. We were a couple of them, and
This is like guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. And there was a lot of times where cops would come a lot of times and everything else. So, I mean, that being said, after years of I've already went to Nashville, came back. I went to school down in Nashville. So when I came back, my friend had met his now wife, and she's from uh, another country. Now she's in the U.S. now. But anyway, that's neither
You
here nor
say
there.
she's from Russia?
Yeah, from Russia. And I'm not going to go into names because I don't really know if they want to have their names broadcasted
Let's keep
online or
names out
not.
of my
But
video.
we'll keep names out. But she was here on a visit, which tend to be happening more frequently, and him going over there as well during the course of the relationship. But she was happened to be over at this time, so it was always nice having her come there because we'd all hang out as a group and stuff like that, and it was just fun to get to really kind of get to know her more than that because again, we're really good friends. So she wanted to go around and kind of just drive around. So we all had the idea at one point in time of the bride or whatever to go to Madhouse Mansion. We were there with the buddy that was with me that I usually hung out with, that had the truck I was mentioning before, and my other friend and his future wife, and now his wife, and his little brother. And we went out to Mudhouse Mansion. Now, how you get there is there's a long drive, or what used to be a drive. I mean, they still kind of maintain the grounds at some point, but it's still a little overgrown, obviously. And then there's like a little footbridge to get across the stream. Well, they have basically, like, I want to say cattle fences. You know what I'm talking about? Like the doors that they have. Basically, like cow pen doors, basically, is what it is. And they put that in front of both sides of the little bridge. So nobody can literally get over there because then you'd have to cross the little stream or whatever. And most of the time, it's a pretty good jump to get over it. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, you're definitely not doing it with ease. And then you would go to inside that section. You're at the Mudhouse Mansion itself, which is a big 3-story building.
Damn.
And it's a 3-story building, and that's including like the the very upstairs. The 3rd story was like a how do I put that? It's almost like a barn-shaped style, like roof style. So I mean, the rooms were contoured like that inside. If you want to go look on the inside of the house, you can look up online. They actually have pictures of the inside of the house and the house itself and all that jazz before they tore it down. So we went, and there's also another house that they rumors they called it the servants' house, the servants' quarters or whatever, because I mean, obviously it was had like workers or a staff that was on the premises at the time. So we're about to cross this bridge. It was now she got cold feet a little bit before the when we were dropping off, and there was really no place to park anyway, just because, again, like I said, there was a lot of cop activity as well. If you've seen cars, obviously you're going to get in trouble anyway. So he was going to go drive around the block for a while, and we were going to go take his little brother up there with me and my other friend. Well, so we're going up this long driveway, pretty much, and so we're going, and there's this, like, I want to say a pickup truck. I really don't really remember like too much about it, except for it was definitely an older pickup truck. I want to say 70s era, like box, maybe even earlier than that, around that area. It was definitely two-tone, like they had like a different color fender or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it kept on popping up and driving past or whatever. So we would kind of duck on the side a little bit, slow, in the grass a bit, just to kind of keep us out of sight. And we finally reached the bridge. And this probably happened about 2 or 3 times. I mean, nothing big, but we just kind of assumed it was somebody who owned the property maybe at the time. So we get there and we're about to cross this bridge, but then we got something kind of caught our eye, and it looked like some kind of animal that was on top of a stump, like a half tree, like a whatever. And then my buddy's into hunting, and so I was like, hey, what does that look like over there or whatever? So he's like, well, it's probably a possum or a raccoon, right? And that's what he was assuming it was, because it just looked like it was just running around. So he's trying to do out some calls or whatever to see if it would move. Well, whatever it was, it decided the whole thing was going to move. It wasn't a half tree. It was the whole, that was its body, and the thing moving was its freaking head. So it starts lumbering towards the bridge. Well, needless to say, my friend's little brother, he didn't take 2 seconds to figure out that he was in danger. So he was literally almost all the way back to the gosh dang road. I'm sort of doing this whole like backwards walk thing to keep my eye on the thing, because I don't know really what to think of it, because it's kind of just like, what is that? And my other friend with us is literally in shock and is standing there like with the biggest gaping mouth that you can ever think, like, pretty much looking at it like, I don't know what is this? So finally, when he snaps to, we both run to the road, and there's a bridge that's actually on the road itself, because how the stream goes, it goes along that, and then it goes, basically shoots off, and then goes where that other bridge is. So, because it kind of forks right there. Anyway, I'm thinking like the best possible thing. I remember like Sleepy Hollow, right? Cross the bridge, can't hurt you, right? That's the only thing I could think of. I'm trying to call my friend. It's not got good signal. Like we're in the early days of freaking like cell phones at this point. I think I had like a Nokia bar phone, but we finally got a hold of him, and he comes and gets us, and he's picking us up, and we're driving back. So we're driving back, and we're just not thinking of nothing. We're just kind of like going back to what happened, and we're all talking about how we can't believe what we saw, kind of thing. And my buddy who was driving the car, he keeps on like looking back in his rearview mirror. He's looking around. He's like, oh boy, and he's kind of getting mad, like somebody's messing with him or something. And he's like, what is this guy's problem? And he's like, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. This dude he's on my tail. He won't get off me. He's like, I speed up, he speeds up. It's like I slow down, he slows down. I don't know what his problem is. So I look back. It's the car. It's that truck. That pickup truck that was with us, or that was kept on passing past. And at this point in time, my buddy's friend, or my friend's brother or whatever, he's distraught at this point, because he's younger at the time. This is when he was rather young. He's probably like 13 years old maybe at the time. And I'm not doing so hot either. I'm just like, oh my God, what the heck is this dude? So as we're coming into town, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a layout here real quick, just because it kind of gives in context about what I can't explain. Literally, when you coming into town, into Lancaster on that road, which is Main Street, when you're coming in towards town, there's a McDonald's and there's a Burger King. Now, the Burger King literally is kind of like in kind of a hill type of area, because when you come in, you can only go in one way and out one way, because the back of it is that concrete wall that goes up. And then you have like the dumpster in the back corner right there. And then on this side, it's also concrete all the way up until you get to the building, right? So it's basically closed in. So I told him to turn on his blinker like we're going into freaking Burger King, right? Mm-hmm. And then we shot over across the street, which is where the Speedway was. Well, that truck turns in to the Burger King. We just pulled in so we could still see him turn in. So we literally go over right behind it to kind of trap and see what this dude's all about. We get in that parking lot, and I'm telling you, there's no way out other than the fact that we went in and that truck is gone. There is no sight of no truck at all. I can't explain where the truck went, and to this day, it bugs the hell out of me where this truck would have went. So, I don't know.
Well, I could tell you it's probably. Have you ever heard of a thing called phantom vehicles?
I've heard of it, and obviously you do, like, when you see something like that, you tend to, and that's just like part of what we were talking about earlier. You go through this whole thing of like, what did I see, and you try to like put something to it. Now, again, being human, I'm going to assume that it's like I know that I can't explain the situation, right? But myself, throughout the years, I don't really consider that for some odd reason, even though I consider it to be a pretty predominant thing in my life that I've seen, I can't still claim that I know that the supernatural is absolutely 100% real. Because for some reason, it's like myself or most people it just doesn't click with them like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that I think that is a pretty big experience to where it's like, what the fuck moment? Pretty much is what I'm getting at. So,
No, I get what you mean. Like, you try to rationalize it, right? Like that's the reason I hate the stare thing so much. Is like, oh,
right.
I got lost. How do you? Like the biggest way I can explain it is, oh no, me and my friends were messing with me. We got disoriented. We kept walking around in circles. That's like the only way I can deal with that. Because I mean, you know what? I can believe in ghosts. I can believe in demons, moving statues, whatever. How does something take me and other people from where we know we went and put us somewhere else? That's something I can't wrap my mind around.
Demons
That's why
have the
that's
power
the
of
thing that
doing that.
freaks me out. Huh?
What was that?
Demons have the power of doing that.
I know, but that's the thing that freaks me out the most. But see, my theory is that we never moved. We just thought we did.
Well, I mean that's a very big possibility, but I mean that's also you trying to freaking rationalize something that happened.
Yeah.
There. Just like with me, it's like I'm trying to rationalize in my head that there had to have been another way that I physically cannot find a different pathway out of that parking lot. I mean, to me, it's just one of those things just boggle your mind. You just don't understand. It's definitely unexplainable. Let's put it that way. But just because you can't explain it doesn't make it different. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I work anyway. Because it's like, and I know a lot of people do. And again, it's like you see things and you try to, like, again, like you were saying, that you just try to rationalize in your head. You try to, like, you basically compromise, like, oh, well, maybe I got lost, or indifferently, and that's just how it all really kind of bundles down to. But I mean, that's pretty much what I had to say about basically all that. I mean, like, again, it kind of went a little bit off. Yeah, it just kind of like, there's just random things in there, and I think that a lot of it has to do with, I don't know if it's we put power into these objects or situations.
Yeah, they're all about
something.
objects, whether it was the statue, a chair, a house, or a car.
Exactly. I don't know if it's us that physically puts the power into it, because I think when you put it down to it, I'm not tooting the human race's horn or anything, but we can accomplish a lot of things more so than we know at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
that's the thing. There's two types of poltergeist. There's a poltergeist that's an actual entity, and then there's a poltergeist that is made by belief.
Right. A tulpa, basically.
Yes. I didn't know the word.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much. I guess that's what pretty much the whole premise of the video is. It's there's objects out there, and it's and they do have supernatural properties. Now, I mean, the question that we have, like, I guess we're asking the audience and anybody who's watching, I guess you have to ask yourself: do we put the power into it, or is the power already there?
That seems like a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to them. His is S13_the Beast, and hers is Terror Storm. Anyways, guys, this is a Storm Family signing out.